Stalking basics. The basics of stalking four-legged critters in the West. Wind. Wind is number one. Just have an idea of the prevailing wind pattern if it's windy that day. Familiarize yourself with thermals, which you can learn a bit more about in my Where Are All the Elk in Colorado video that I'll have in this course. Always have your wind checkers with you. Just be checking the wind. You want to feel the wind on your face, not the back of your neck. You want to be heading into the wind. If you're heading in the same direction as the wind, anything below you is getting a big whiff of you, and probably not going to hang out very long. That even means little critters. They're pretty sensitive to human scent. They all are. All these animals rely on their scent, their nose, number one. Humans are a little odd in that we use eyes for confirmation of threats and opportunities and things like that. So that's number one. Check the wind constantly. Be aware of wind patterns. When you do find an animal, sometimes it's really exciting. You're like, holy crap, I found one of them. Don't rush. If the animal's not aware that you're there, unless it's a particular time of day and it's obviously heading somewhere, there's a good chance that it's going to be moseying about fairly slowly. Animal is moving on animal time. It doesn't have to get back to its 9 to 5. It doesn't have anywhere to be. The only place it has to be is alive. So it's most tuned into its senses. It's not in a rush to get anywhere, generally speaking, if you found it like just in an area, occupying an area. Just don't rush. Take your time. Think things out. Sometimes a stalk can take 2 to 4, 6 hours. That's fine. If that's what it takes, that's why you're out there. There's no reason to blow your stalk just so that you can go start a whole nother one. Take advantage of the one that you've been presented. In the West, public land hunting, deer, elk, moose, bear, whatever, in my experience and talking to many other folks that have related theirs to me, one shot opportunity a season is solid. That's a good season. Animals are not evenly distributed across this landscape. They're smart as heck. They're way better at getting around this area than you are. So keep that in mind. Don't blow them out into the next county. It's a lot easier for them to bug out to the next hillside than it is for you. Let's see. Keep an eye on animal body language. You can kind of intuit what I mean by that, but if they're constantly putting their head up and down for a mule deer, if they got their radar ears up and they're right at you, just keep an eye on what their body language is telling you. It's pretty common for deer and elk to have a few bites, look up, look down and up. But if they're exceptionally calm, I mean, that can be a great time to put your stalk on and get in as close as you can. Speaking of getting in close, ways to do that are to use any natural cover you can to obscure their eyes. Just think about that. You've already got the wind covered, but if you can just kind of slowly maneuver and keep any kind of a tree or a crest or a pile of bushes, whatever, between you and them, they're not wily like that. They got to see something, or again, their smell is their number one threat detector. So if you can get around that and get around their eyes, I mean, you can get extremely close to these animals. It takes some patience and practice. I won't say skill. It takes patience and practice, and experience helps, and you can get very close to them. So obscuring line of sight, that can be very helpful. Crawling. You must crawl. You must get comfortable with the idea of crawling. And I mean on your belly, like you're back in Nam, trying to get away from Charlie. Sometimes there's so little cover out here, or Or if there is a little elevation change between you and them, the only way you could take advantage of using that as to obscure their line of sight will be to be only 10 inches off the ground when you're totally flat down. I'll do a shot here and you can really see the difference on just what it means to stalk. And I have stalked up to deer many times in thick grass, and they don't really mind grass going like this, really. You'd think they would. Like, I'd think that they would think that there was like a big cat or something there, but I guess grass just moves and they're not too worried about that as long as they don't smell it. So what I often do in the thick grass is crawl on the belly and just slowly peek up, see if they're still chill. And man, I've gotten remarkably close to deer, and by remarkably close I mean 10 yards, maybe even a little tighter than that. So let's see what else we got here. Quiet clothes. That is why I actually put this particular fleece on. It's very warm and comfortable, and it's a little chilly out with this wind actually, but you can hear on the mic. Maybe you can't hear on the mic. It's very quiet. When there's no wind and it's dead calm out here, man, you can hear a pine needle hit the ground. It is so dead quiet out here sometimes. So this can be really flippin' loud, and that can get a deer's attention. So ways to get around that: you can do this funny like stalking walk where you keep your crotch real wide. I'm not kidding. Keep your crotch real wide. Another option that you definitely see traditional hunters do, because they really need to get close range, is sometimes they'll take off their pants and go down to their skivvies, just because that's going to be dead quiet. Your bino harness is often going to be really loud. You don't realize how loud this stuff is. Go into a silent room, wait till the family's gone, do that thing, and then get your bino harness out and like scratch your fingers on it, or yeah, just scratch. That'll be like a stand-in for a twig, and you'll just hear it go zzz, 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 zzz. And so most bino harnesses are loud as heck. Just test all that stuff when it's real quiet, and you'll notice how loud that is. On that note, get very good at removing a broadhead from your quiver and knocking it silently. More than once I didn't do that. Like, I just kind of, all it takes is kind of misangling your arrow a little bit and it'll knock the other arrow. And a steel broadhead hitting a carbon arrow shaft is a church bell when it's dead quiet. So get good at doing that, removing it and just being dead silent with removing it from your quiver and then placing it on your bow and knocking it. And I like to, I mean, I have enough muscle memory from shooting my bow so much at leagues, at home, coaching, yada, 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 where I can generally knock the arrow without looking. I also, on the trad bows, run a double knock so that I can feel that a double knocking point, so that I can put the knock in between those two bits of thread, and I know that it doesn't need to go above or below, it just goes in between. So practice being able to do that, because it can be really great if, like, all right, now's my shot to put it on, click, and just keep your line of sight that whole time while you're doing that. We talked about the camo face paint. You can check that out as far as how, and the camo itself, how that makes a difference in concealment. I come to think of it, I actually feel like putting camo paint on your hands is even more important than the camo itself, just because the clothes will kind of flatten out into the environment, even damn plaid will, but these are just, they're white, they're just light as hell, and I'm not super light skinned, but camo face paint, decent camo. I say whatever camo you want. I really don't think it matters, because again, they're not seeing on the same color spectrum we are. I would just advise against wearing snow camo out here in the middle of summer, because that white's gonna pop. I would advise against wearing real tree when you're hunting your polar bears, but really it's whatever you feel like is gonna make you stealthy. Your best bet is to not be seen, and I know that may sound like idyllic or idealistic rather. scenario, but really your best bet is to not be seen, because if they're staring at you, they're pretty darn good at picking out not forest, and you're definitely not forest. Another thing that comes to mind as far as concealment and stalking is, I was definitely guilty of this early on, is you think that you want a tree between you and them when it's time to take a shot. Or let's just say you're waiting 40 yards above an elk wallow, that kind of scenario. If you know that you're going to be sitting in a place like above an elk wallow or above a pass where they might be coming in, or just like a game trail that you pattern them on, make sure that when you're trying to set some kind of camouflage around you, to put trees behind you, not in front of you. I was very guilty of this, of putting trees in front of me, thinking, oh, I'm going to be sneaky, be behind something and pop out and then shoot it. It doesn't. You got to draw this thing. You're not shooting a little bow. You got to get like this to shoot the bow. And so it's actually better to have some space to do that. And if your camo's doing its job and you're doing your job, then you should be concealed to some degree by the ambient foliage. So let's see if there's anything else here before we move on to our next exciting segment. Oh, yes. The final and extremely important thing is move slowly. And I can't emphasize how slow I mean by move slowly. I mean like imperceptibly slowly. If you are within 40, 30, 20, 10 yards of an animal, especially if you're in their line of sight, especially if they haven't seen you yet, you need to move so comically slowly. And by that I mean, just to give you an idea of, like, we're talking about rate of slowness, it'll be fine if it takes you 5 minutes to move 3 feet. Again, that's the whole reason you're out there, is to capitalize on that opportunity. And there's no reason to rush ruining it. Man, I'm gonna get that little guy. All right, that's about it. I'm gonna crawl around a little bit in the ground for you and show you how slow I mean. See you in a minute. All right, we're gonna play a game, pretend. You're gonna be an elk, and I'm gonna be a dude. And I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna do 2 little stalks on you. I mean, little stalks, not gonna last very long. And you're gonna see the difference between me crouching down as far as I can and me crawling. And again, we'll see which one you think is better. Hi. Alright. So I'm gonna crouch down as low as I can and put a stalk on you, alright? You're going down. And I'm going to shoot from the same place. There we go, that's my shot. Alright, start over. Alright, remember, I'm doing this for you, Cooper. Alright. There's my shot. Alright, as far as how slow to move, said I was going to give you an example of that. See if I'm in frame. Hey buddy. Okay. Slow. There's my elk. 25 yards, feeding pretty calm. Quartering away from me. No idea I'm here. I gotta get right there to get my shot. Right on top of that rock. There's cover between me and him, so I don't need to crawl. But I do need to get to that rock in front of me. And anything resembling movement is going to get his attention. I just wanted to bring up at the end of this segment that was really interesting. I spent a couple minutes trying to move a couple feet. It was obviously very quiet and moved at an imaginary animal. And in that time, a small game animal came, I don't know, 15 to 20 yards away and just didn't really know I was there because the wind's in my face. So I wish you could have seen it, but gosh, what a wonderful, perfect way to demonstrate just how moving slowly in an area where you know animals are can present you with opportunities. All right, see you in the next one.